today is Tuesday, June 23rd, and I know what you're wondering. Do you only have 5 shirts? I have about 5 shirts that I like. No. Anyway, it's summertime. I'm feeling into tank tops, and I probably have about 5 tank tops, so I'm rotating through those. Anyway, I'm going to make oatmeal chocolate chip cookies today. So I already have 2 sticks of room temperature butter here in this bowl. The oven is preheating to 325 degrees, and I have lined some cookie sheets with parchment paper. And this is from King Arthur Flour, so this is available on their website. It's kingarthurbaking.com is what the website is. So if you want to make these cookies yourself, it's right there. Pretty simple recipe. I feel like in my history of baking, it's always stuff that tastes better than it looks. I don't really excel at the stuff that looks good in cooking or baking, but usually it ends up tasting pretty good. Okay, so we have the butter already. To the butter, we add 1 cup of light brown sugar. I'm going to use this 1/2 cup measuring cup because I will need to measure out 1/2 cup of regular granulated sugar. So I just like to measure it in the bag and then use the bag to pack the brown sugar into the measuring cup. So that's 1/2 cup there. And the recipe calls for a whole cup of light brown sugar. I have a puppy here who smells the sugar, and she's like, "Can I get some of that, please?" All right, there's the brown sugar. And then I have just regular cane sugar, 1/2 cup of this. And then I have my hand mixer. I have a standing mixer. That's the oven preheated. But it doesn't work so great unless you're making like a double recipe of something. So I just use this hand mixer to combine. I'm gonna scooch over here a little bit. Admittedly, this is going much easier than it normally would because I don't often take the time to actually let the butter come to room temperature. I'll cut it into pieces. Sometimes I'll run it through the microwave. But I actually took it out early in the day, let it set in the cabinet away from all the pets. So now it is nice and room temperature. I think I mentioned that I had this cookbook for kids when I was growing up, and it defined creaming butter as using a wooden spoon to stir together butter and sugar, which is quite a workout. But I thought as a kid that was the way it had to be done. It's kind of funny. And so I'm talking about that cookbook not being easy. You'd think it would be easier for kids unless it was just purposely trying to make it hard on kids. We're all good and combined now. Turn that off. Okay. And then we add an egg yolk. Already separated that out. And an egg, also at room temperature, as per the recipe. right. Oh, and a tablespoon of vanilla. Okay. I think I need that again. All right. We'll mix these together. All right, I think this is reasonably well incorporated. Which reminds me I have to grab a whisk. Aha. Okay, I'm gonna combine the dry ingredients. So I'm thinking I may actually be almost out of all-purpose flour. I have a little bit of unbleached bread flour that I may use just to close the gap if I'm a little bit under what I need for this recipe. Okay, so here we go. Just 1 cup of oats. We need 2 cups of flour. I think I'm a little bit under here. But we'll see. Maybe I'll be wrong. I'm getting to pour it out like this, make sure it's kind of aerated and you don't get too much in. And if I wanted to be really precise, I'm a little bit over, that's fine. I would weigh it, but I think it'll be good enough without weighing it. I may have exactly enough flour. Okay, I think that's, I actually have a little bit more than I thought I did, which is great. Okay. And then I just need teaspoons of each baking powder, baking soda, and salt. All right, here we go. I'm getting low on salt too. Salt and flour. Put it on the list. Okay, I think that's everything. Going over my list, going over my list. Other than the chocolate chips, that is everything. So I'm going to whisk the dry ingredients together. It's a pretty quick recipe. And then, you know, just place all of the cookies on the cookie sheet. Probably, I like to stagger them. Probably like 3 per row and then stagger the rows so you end up with like 1.5 to 2 inches between cookies so that they can, you know, kind of move when they bake. Another thing I used to do when I was younger is I'd like make the dough and then I would form it all into a log and then I would refrigerate it and slice it. And it kind of helps keep them from spreading as much too. And then it's a little bit neater than having to individually shape all these cookies. And I don't have a cookie scoop either. I just eyeball it, you know, maybe a little bit smaller, about the size of a golf ball, depending on how many cookies I'm trying to make. All right. Good, good. Dry ingredients. And then I'll take this back over here. Just gonna slowly stir everything together with the beaters, and then I will add the chocolate chips in, which I will stir in by hand. Just gotta get everything incorporated first. So I've been thinking, I've been doing videos every day for just a little bit over a month. I'm thinking I'm going to probably cut down to, depending on what's happening in a week, probably around 4 videos a week. Just so I can spend more time focusing on all of those creative pursuits that help build into making these videos. The goal was never to make it about the videos themselves. It was about the content in those videos. So I won't necessarily be looking for things to cook on camera. If there's something I'm cooking, maybe I'll make it into a video. I will keep up with my weekly drum videos, although I'll probably move them from Friday. I'm thinking it'll maybe be like a Monday or a Tuesday or Thursday, just because Fridays can get busy. Thursdays can get busy too. Maybe Tuesday or Thursday. Mondays can be busy. It's hard to say. Every week is different. I want it to be on the same day every week. All right. All right. Let the beaters kind of fling the dough off themselves. Okay, 3 cups of chocolate chips. I don't know why this is what I have in my cabinet. I think I was planning on making a different kind of cookie. This is just the one I had up in my browser, so I was like, that works. I have all the things for that. 3 cups of chips. A bag is roughly around 2 cups. These are Ghirardelli milk chocolate chips. And then I have some semi-sweet, and I'll do half of that bag. Oh, I said half the bag, didn't I? Well, shoot. Anyways, okay. We may have a mix here. It's fine. All right, that's about a cup. I'll save those for something, like pancakes or something. All right. But yeah, definitely drum videos once a week. If there's a new movie that comes out I want to talk about, I'll do a video about that. And I'll probably still do yoga videos for a while. I had somebody ask me recently if I miss teaching, and I said no without even thinking about it. And the truth is, I don't miss teaching in a studio. And I'll probably do a video about that this week, just during one of my long drives, just to kind of talk about why I'm taking a break from the studio. Maybe a permanent break, I don't know, we'll see. But definitely the drum videos, maybe the yoga videos, the occasional media discussion. I guess review is kind of the right term, but I don't really think of it that way. I don't mean to criticize. I have a really hard time with criticism myself. I just like to talk about things. Observations and, you know, discourse. It's fun to find out what people think and just to think myself. So, but I really want to, well, so I've talked about the website. I'm still going to do that, and that will help me kind of schedule when I'm going to post stuff and what I'm going to post about. And I will actually do my daily log, because that was the whole point, is just kind of talking about my day. And it doesn't necessarily need to be in a video. I don't necessarily need to just talk to a camera. I like there to be something going on. But yeah, so that's still to come. Having company this weekend, again, it's another, always something. And I would like to get something done this weekend, but we'll see. So, but yeah, probably going to eventually, over the next couple weeks, cut down on the videos. I'm going to get a tray, or a cookie sheet, and start laying these out. And again, golf ball sized-ish, maybe a little bit smaller. But I haven't even started a new book since I finished that last one. I want to spend more time reading. And again, occasionally maybe we'll post a video game playthrough. Haven't really had time to do that either, because as much as I am enjoying making these videos, they take a big chunk out of the day. Once I film them, I have to go back and rewatch and then edit. I'm not the best at editing, and I don't put a whole lot of effort into it, especially videos like this. I just kind of cut them together. But even so, and then I have time, I need to practice my drums too. And I did get a practice pad, which I'm very grateful for, because I learned yesterday that the puppy dog will, if I put her in her crate and go downstairs to practice in the basement, she will scream. And I can hear her over the drums and over my noise canceling headphones. So that's no good. But yeah. I can practice, since the practice pad is silent, I can just sit up in the living room and practice while, it's not going to be the same, obviously, but I can practice stick exercises on a practice pad. I don't need to practice those on the snare drum itself. It gets quite loud. And again, if the puppy's going to keep me from practicing on my kit when John's not home, then gotta find something I can do to get that practicing, because I really hurt from missing any time. And I was only able to practice for like 5 minutes yesterday before she started screaming, and I was just like, all right. Let's see how these spread out. And then they cook for 14 to 17 minutes, depending on how big they are. So we'll see how these go. Push those that way. Get another tray. All right. I also really want to start doing some digital illustrating that I can incorporate into my videos down the way, and that will definitely take some time and practice. But I've been thinking a lot about that, and just really excited for the Star Bomb show in September, and I want to put together kind of an arena inspired costume that's Aaron's anime girl style alter ego with his colors for the costume, and I think that would be fun. So I've been kind of thinking about how I want to do that. And then kind of tokens to share. I was thinking I might make buttons. So I'm excited to do some sketching and drawing, and I've never been terribly great. Well, I mean, I can draw, but I can't do it fast. So like most things, it takes me a long time to do them. But I enjoy the process. So we have an old iPad that we need to trade in, so we're gonna get a new one, and I'm excited about that. And I'll probably make some videos about some things I work on once I feel confident enough to share the stuff. But in the meantime, I really just want to spend some time doing the actual creating. So, but yeah, I definitely feel better mentally since I've started working on this project, even though it does take a big chunk of my day to create this stuff. I feel better for using the time to be creative because I really haven't been, not really in a long time. Even just baking. I used to bake at least once a week, at least. I baked all the time. So it's definitely helped my attitude putting these together, and I feel inspired to be creative, which is great. And I still do love horror movies. That's such a big thing and a big part of what I want to talk about moving forward, and movies in general. I really love film, but incorporate some kind of more creative elements into how I talk about it, other than just pre-made templates and animations. I kind of want to make my own stuff, but it's going to take some work to get there. And life is still life, and just work is, I mean, it definitely hasn't made me enjoy my work more, my regular work. Okay, I'm gonna wash my hands and put these in the oven, like I said, 14 to 17 minutes. I'll come back when we're all done and then show you how they came out. Alrighty, so yeah, I'll be right back almost immediately. Okay, this is part of the first 2 trays, the 2 sheets. That was 2 dozen total. I have another 4 over there, and then there are 18 in the oven now. So I put the next batch in, making it 42 total. I checked after 14 minutes. They were not quite finished, so I did end up keeping them in for 17, and even then I thought they looked a little bit blonde. So they're very light. However, I think that's kind of what you want. They're not undercooked. They're a little bit chewy. I have that great caramelization of the sugar. A little bit of extra bite from the oatmeal. There's a ton of vanilla in here. Very tasty. Just your typical chocolate chip cookie with a little bit of oatmeal. And yeah, highly recommend. I'm going to continue to eat this cookie off camera. And yeah, I guess I'll be back tomorrow. So thanks for hanging out, and I'll talk to you later. Okay, bye.